question in the kind of fifth row. Just here. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's so
Thank you very much, Christopher, and as well for the film. My name is Ruth Sempewa. I'm one of the people power NUP tenants in this country. Question, quick one, is should we expect the People's President Part 2? Before the answer comes up, this is a quick note. Ugandans who are here, please, when there is an activity of demonstration or whatever, please turn up. Even though 3 people are there, you come, it makes a difference. Indigenous British UK citizens, please, as the First Lady advised, talk to your MPs, sensitize them so that they can they can work together with APP, all party or group, so that they can work and start questioning, because what is happening today, ask them why they signed this election was cheated, was stolen. But today, the MOD is signing another agreement to train soldiers in Uganda to do what? To kill Ugandans. Now we have a Putin, a black Putin. We have a Agustino Pinochet in Uganda. This is the black-faced Museveni must be stopped, because what he has done in the Great Lakes is untold, is unbelievable. Thank you very much. So much to say that. Sorry.
Thank you.
No, there's no plan at the moment to do another one. We've sort of been working on this for almost 6 years, and we'll just, we'll see what happens in the future. Can we give this gentleman here?
Thanks for your bravery as well. It's just amazing what you've done. And just I suppose on that, it's sort of quite a bleak ending in a way to the film because of the election that was stolen. So sort of what is next, and how are you galvanising opinion and all the opposition in Uganda, and
I'm going to start asking a few questions to Barbie and Christopher, just to give you some time to think about your own questions. And when you're ready, please raise your hands and the microphone will come to you. Congratulations on the film. It's really powerful and it feels really, really important. Christopher, maybe can you start and give us a bit of context and how you embarked on that journey and followed Bobby Wine and Barbie?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, good evening. So I grew up in Uganda, and my father was born in Uganda, so I have a sort of Ugandan connection. I met Bobby and Barbie at the beginning of 2017, and I was familiar with Bobby's music at the time, but when I met them, I was just so astonished by them. I was astonished by their courage, I was astonished by their bravery. Bobby at the time was an extremely successful musician. They had 4 beautiful, beautiful children, and he had his beautiful, clever wife. And he was just embarking on such a treacherous journey that it was like the script for a film. And when I started talking to them and they told me where they'd come from, what they'd done and what they were embarking on doing, I asked them if they would mind if we followed them. And we ended up doing that for 5 years. And I thought we were making a film about a musician who went sort of slightly into activism, but it turned out, as you can see, to be something so much more. The other thing which was incredible about them, they just gave us complete and utter access. There was no point when they ever said to us, please turn off the camera. However awful things are, however stressful it got, they just always allowed us to carry on. They had nothing to hide. And the big difficulty with the film was turning literally thousands and thousands of hours into under 2 hours. And that was, it was quite a challenge, yeah.
Barbie, can you tell us what it meant for you to have the film made, and maybe to have a film crew made with you very often like this?
Thank you very much. Chris is God sent, and having Chris come into our lives at a time when we needed the world to know what we were venturing into was more than a miracle. Today is Chris's birthday. He was born in Uganda on Uganda's Independence Day. His father was born in Uganda, and his family built a hospital where I was born. So we were meant to meet each other either way. So I'll ask everyone to sing for Christian. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Chris. Happy birthday to you. That answers your question. It is for Chris that we are here, and that our lives are being shown to the world, and that the people of Uganda's voices are being shown on a bigger stage. So Chris just did a good job, and we are grateful for his life.
Thank you. I'm sure you've got many questions. So please, there is a question at the front. So the microphone is coming on the third row. It's such an honour for us to have you in our presence. Thank you very much. It's an amazing film. This is a slightly trivial question, partly because I'm a DJ. Is there a soundtrack to the film that's available? It's an amazing soundtrack.
Yeah, I can answer that. Yeah, there will be. We've actually been putting together a soundtrack for the film. We just need Bobby to make sure he's completely happy with it. And when the film comes out, there will 100% be a soundtrack to the film, yeah. And also, you should listen to all of Bobby's music. It's incredible.
Yes, please.
First of all, wow, that was a very powerful film, and thank you everybody who participated in it. As I was watching it, the thing I was kind of like expecting like everybody to be killed and disappear, you know, like a complete, total, extreme situation. And what was really kind of disturbing was the way that it was like swinging between, seemed a bit free, but then just when you got anywhere close to anything, you'd be shut down, but it was kind of secretive. Could you say something about the modus operandi, or that you feel is in place in terms of that form of oppression? Because there are many different forms of oppression, but it's quite specific, and I think you captured it very well in the film. This sort of, it wasn't hard to pin down, but at times it was. You could see how maybe the outside world could go, well, it doesn't look that bad, but then it is.
We have, like all dictators, the dictator in Uganda is smart. He is inclined on staying in power at all costs. He uses the primitive and the new ways of torture, and so he uses them in equal measure. He will make you feel like right now you're free to do your work, but then he will leave the trap just ahead of you and get hold of you and create the most pain you've ever felt. Some of the things they do to torture us are visible, some are not. For example, they use Pegasus to follow our phone calls. They know who we are talking to. They know where we are. That the world never gets to see unless somebody does some behind check and then comes and says, these phone numbers are tapped by Pegasus and I have evidence. They have these primitive ways of following us. They have this boda, which is a motorcycle. We call them bodas at home. There's this person following you everywhere you go. And you know them, that those ones are spying on you. They tell them where you are, who you saw, what you're doing. They're in schools torturing our children from there. Then there are these others where they will be speaking to your people, the people around you. They bribe them. Can we give you some money and sort you out so that you just leave that guy to do the things alone? He is putting you in trouble. Some the world sees, some the world doesn't know, but he is always busy. And he is working every day. But the people won't let that happen. They will keep pushing. That's why you see even when they captured everybody on the campaign trail, they took 100 and something people into custody. The next morning, there was a group of young people willing to come to that same trail and move on with their campaigns. So they are not giving up. We are not giving up until Ugandans are free.
I'd just like to add something to that. We filmed a huge amount of people who've been tortured, and we filmed people who've been tortured in a medieval way. We filmed people who'd had their fingers removed. We had filmed, just horrific stuff. And we actually, in the editing suite, we were editing for 2 years, we made a decision that we didn't want this film to just be a catalogue of horror, and it could easily have been a catalogue of horror, to the extent when Bobby saw it for the first time, he said, "You've made them look quite good." And we thought that the film would be far more effective and it would be a better platform for Bobby and Barbie and all the wonderful Ugandans if we showed it through their eyes. And just seeing endless torture, it's so horrific, but it's not as powerful as understanding the pain through people who you get to know in the film and you end up loving in the film. And it's far more effective. And we just hope that, but just believe me, what's going on in Uganda is just horrific. It's really horrific.
If I could add a little bit on what Chris said, we still have abductions happening. They find young people, our supporters, leaders, elected. They get them, they take them for more than 2 weeks, and we demand for them publicly. They never say they have them. When they come back, they have scars, they have broken skulls, they have broken arms, limbs. They can't walk on their own. So the abductions are happening. Even yesterday, a leader called Mahmoud was abducted. We have a Ugandan journalist working with the BBC. Her whole family was abducted, a family of 7. Because they can't get her, she lives outside of the country. They would rather cause the pain by abducting her family. They're intimidating her to stop reporting this to the rest of the world. So, yeah, it's bad what is still happening home, and the world should know.
Yes, please. Thank you. My question goes to Barbie. Barbie, thank you so much for everything. We've watched a lot, but I just want to ask you, a mother, a wife, someone who stands in for the girl child and everything, what is the source of your strength? Where do you get the daily ability and energy and strength to keep moving? What's the source? What's the secret?
Thank you very much. I have been trying to look for where my strength comes from, and I just realized that it comes from the Lord.
Amen.
Amen.
What happens to us and what happens around us is beyond human understanding, and being able to wake up every day and face it over and over again and then smile genuinely and then do it. It's just a strength from the Lord. And the other thing is, I am just an image of the many women who are going through worse things. We all know that there are women whose husbands were captured, who don't know where their husbands have been for 3 years. Their children are dead, and they are going through worse things than mine. So when I wake up every day, I am like, well, we are in this struggle together, but there are those who are suffering more than I do. And if I have the chance to stand and speak for them, I can't start walking backwards. I have to stand there and speak for them. So the other thing which gives me the strength is because I know that I need to speak for more women going through more worse things than I do.
Hi, it's my wife's birthday today as well. Very strange coincidence. We come from India, the land of Gandhi. So I was quite surprised to see non-violence being preached, as Bobby was mentioning. I know many intelligent people will ask many intelligent questions. I have a very trivial one to ask here though. India is a developing country, and we at times we are divided into different states, and we also face corruption to some level, some at federal level. So we just want to understand how people of India can specifically help people of Uganda in this situation. I think it's been eye-opener. I never knew that Uganda is facing such issues. So I would like to know specifically if some action point can be drawn from people from India.
Yes. I will briefly, and then you will finish that. So, Uganda hosts a big community of Indians. Every little part of Uganda that you go to, you find an Indian shop. You find an Indian living within the community. They were born there. They have married within their communities, but they've been there. They speak our languages. They are one of us. What I have noticed, in my opinion, I can be corrected if I'm wrong. What I have noticed is they do not feel like they are part of us because they don't stand with us when we need them. We see them when the president is giving them free land to have their businesses constructed there. We see them when they're going to the president to offer him support and he has things to do. We don't see them speak when human rights of the people who are their customers are being abused. So we just need, beginning with the Indian community in Uganda, we just need them to highlight the plight of their people because they are one of us. We may have different skin colors, but they are one of us. They are true Ugandans, and if they could only speak and rebuke whatever is wrong back home, that would be enough. That's all I would need from you.
You've got too many questions. Well, the lady just... sorry.
I think this film would be hugely motivating for many other countries in Africa. I work on elections in Mozambique. I want people in Mozambique to see this film. How do we get this to Africa? How do we get this onto the web in Africa? Nobody can pay for the rights for this in Mozambique. And yet the opposition needs to watch this film. How do we do that?
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, everyone said, you know, who were you making this film for? I think we were making it for two people. One, we've been very disappointed by Western governments. And what typically happens is you have these fraudulent elections. They happen, America, England, the EU, everyone comes out and says, you know, that was totally flawed. There was no, as you saw in the film, there was no people monitoring the election at all. And then the governments come out, and then within a month, it's business as usual, and we're back to square one. So one thing we wanted to do was get a Western audience to realize what their governments are supporting, and that it's not right. And then secondly, very importantly, we want to give Africans hope. And in Bobby and Barbie, you have two true African heroes. I was in Zimbabwe not so long ago, and I was talking to a very prominent Zimbabwean there, and he said he met Bobby, and he said, I think I've just met the man who's going to change Africa. I think these guys have the ability to have a massive impact on Africa. And we're going to do everything we can to make sure Africans can watch this film. I'm sure there'll be a lot of resistance. Obviously, the regime in Uganda has a lot of friends, and they'll do everything they can. But it's very, very difficult to stop films getting out. And as much as you try, you know, people have ways of watching it. And I think this film, you know, it might end up being, you know, in markets or whatever. But if people want to see something, they see it. But we will, and we've thought about various ideas about doing tours and going round and showing it to people who wouldn't normally be able to see it. I mean, nothing would give me greater pleasure than, you know, having a truck and going through Mozambique and showing it to as many people as possible. And all that sort of thing is would love to do that. But yes, it's more important for Africa than it is for the West, because it's a film about them.
Yes, please.
Thank you, First Lady. I call you First Lady because you're my First Lady. My name is Lane Shafts, and I really, really want to appreciate the fact that you're looking after our president and their first daughters and sons. But all these things that are going on in Uganda, the West sees whatever's happening. And I remember that I think one of the things that removed Idi Amin on power is because they had put a limit on him so that he couldn't travel anywhere, he couldn't get anything. But still, back home in Uganda, the Western people, like the ones who are supporting, who are funding the dictator, are still funding him. What are you going to do? Because this film is a film that can really, really maybe open eyes of other people, because as I've heard my other brother who said that he has never known that such a thing is happening in Uganda. But then, how are you going to make sure that these Western countries try to put sanctions onto the people that are causing a lot of havoc? Because they know them, but they still fund them. Thank you so much, my lady, and thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
Chris will add on what I'm saying, because Chris is from here, and it is his success it is his success that are being given out to the people in Uganda. So everyone here in this audience is a mouthpiece. Every one of you has a platform. Every one of you, whatever you do to make sure that this message goes out, should be counted. And you should trust in the power that you have. We want you to be messengers. Go and speak to decision makers. That's the only way we will manage to stop Museveni. We have a group of Ugandans here. I truly appreciate the work you do. You know, we have sanctions against most of the generals, the military generals. It was your work. You went and knocked at the doors of decision makers, and those people have been sanctioned. They can't come to these places. That's more work you should do. That's why we believe in the diaspora. That's why we really look up to you. That's your duty to do. While we go at the front line, we expect you to do that part. We will just call on everybody. We will spread the word as far as it can go and hope that the right people will hear it and do the right thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's completely right. I mean, there's a lot of, you know, when someone's been in power for 36 years, there's a lot of business interests. And I know the British government have a lot of business interests in Uganda.
Yeah.
and it just makes it, you know, their will's not in it. You know, the America funds the Ugandan government well over £1 billion. The EU gives them £1 billion, and the UK, I'm not sure of the exact figure. But
just about 5 days ago.
Yeah. But so what ends up happening is they'll give regimes like Museveni's regime money on the condition that they'll send 6,000 troops to the AU to fight in Somalia, or so they're doing stuff, and Museveni's very good at that. They're to you. I mean, you know, I kind of feel we've done what we can, and